Let me guess. You don't think you're bad with money. You pay your bills on time. You're not out here buying yachts. You don't feel reckless. But somehow, there's never as much left over as you thought there would be. You open your banking app and think, wait, where did it all go? It wasn't one giant purchase. It wasn't a luxury vacation. It wasn't a $5,000 mistake. It was a bunch of $60 decisions, $40 decisions, $85 decisions. And here's the thing. There's one simple rule, the $100 rule, that can predict with shocking accuracy whether you're going to build wealth or stay financially stuck. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. My name is Jetty, and I spend way too much time thinking about how small daily money decisions quietly shape your financial future. If you're someone who works hard, makes decent money, but still feels like wealth is always slightly out of reach, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Because today we're not talking about budgeting apps, we're not talking about extreme frugality, we're talking about a psychological rule that separates people who build wealth from people who just earn income. The $100 rule. Here it is. If you treat $100 like it's insignificant, your financial future will be insignificant. That's the rule, and I know that sounds dramatic. Jetty, it's just $100. Exactly. That's the problem. Here's what most people believe. I don't need to worry about $100 decisions. I just need to avoid big financial mistakes. That sounds logical, but it's wrong, because wealth is not destroyed by big mistakes. It's shaped by repeated small behaviors. Look, according to a Federal Reserve report, nearly 37% of Americans can't cover a $400 emergency expense without borrowing or selling something. That's not because everyone bought Lamborghinis. It's because small financial leaks compound over time. And this is where it gets really interesting. Let's do something simple. What if you waste? Not spend intentionally, but waste. $100 per week. Fence. That's it. That's 4 random purchases, 2 impulse buys, a couple online orders you didn't really need. $100 times 52 weeks equals $5,200 per year. Now let's assume, instead of spending it, you invested that $100 weekly into a simple S&P 500 index fund. Historically, the S&P 500 has averaged about 10% annually over the long term. If you invested $5,200 per year for 30 years at 10%, you'd end up with roughly $855,000. Let that sink in. The difference between I don't think twice about $100 and I'm intentional about $100, it then is potentially almost $1 million. Now, you might be thinking, okay, but I'm not wasting $100 every week. Are you sure? Subscriptions you don't use, convenience fees, DoorDash markups, upgraded versions of things you didn't need upgraded. Most people don't notice the leak because it doesn't feel painful. Which brings us to the psychology. Why $100 feels small, even when it isn't. Here's the thing. Your brain doesn't process money logically. It processes it relatively. If you make $60,000 per year, that's about $5,000 per month. $100 feels like 2% of your monthly income. That doesn't feel life-changing, but your brain ignores something critical. Compounding turns percentages into mountains. According to research from behavioral economist Richard Thaler, humans are terrible at valuing future gains compared to present pleasure. This is called present bias. We overvalue what we can enjoy now and undervalue what grows over time. So your brain says $100 today equals new shoes. $100 invested equals abstract future number. And abstract always loses. The $100 rule isn't really about $100. It's about identity. When someone thinks it's only $100, that tells you how they'll treat $1,000, $10,000, $100,000. Financial habits scale. If you're careless at $100, you'll be careless at $1,000. If you're intentional at $100, you'll be disciplined at $10,000. This is where it gets really interesting. High earners who never build wealth almost always fail the $100 rule. According to a study by the National Bureau of Economic Research, lifestyle inflation rises almost dollar for dollar with income increases. In other words, make more, spend more. Why? Because their behavior didn't change. Their numbers did. I once knew two co-workers. Both made around $70,000 per year. Person A didn't stress about small purchases, upgraded their phone every year, ordered delivery constantly, booked deserved weekend trips. Person B had one rule. If it's over $100, I pause. Not cancel, not never, just pause. They waited 24 to 48 hours before spending $100 or more on anything non-essential. 5 years later, Person A had credit card debt and no investments. Person B had $85,000 invested and no debt. Same income, different relationship with $100. Here's what most people don't realize. The $100 rule compounds in 3 ways. 1. Financially. 2. Psychologically. 3. Behaviorally. Let's break that down. 1. Financial compounding. We already did the math. $100 weekly invested equals potentially $855,000 in 30 years. But let's zoom out. If you invest $100 weekly for just 10 years, at 10%, you'd have about $83,000. That's a down payment. That's financial security. That's leverage. 2. Psychological compounding. When you repeatedly choose not to spend $100 impulsively, something happens. You start seeing yourself differently. You go from, I hope I'll be wealthy someday, to, I'm someone who invests. Identity drives behavior. Behavior drives results. James Clear talks about this in Habit Research. Small repeated actions shape identity. And once your identity shifts, discipline feels easier. 3. Behavioral compounding. This one is subtle. When you hesitate on $100, you begin analyzing trade-offs. Would I rather have this jacket or $1,000 invested over time? That question changes everything. Because now every purchase competes with your future. Most people never force that comparison. Now, you might be thinking, Jetty, life is meant to be enjoyed. Yes, I'm not telling you to hoard money in a mattress. The goal isn't deprivation, it's awareness. Here's the difference. Intentional spending builds wealth. Unconscious spending destroys it. If you consciously decide, this $100 brings me real value, spend it. But if it's impulse, boredom, or emotional spending, that's where your future leaks. According to a 2023 survey by the American Psychological Association, over 60% of adults report spending money to cope with stress. And guess what? The most common stress spend range is under $150. Why? Because it feels harmless. Your brain says it's not a big deal. But repeated emotional $100 decisions are silent wealth killers. This is where it gets really interesting. Emotional spending often increases as income increases. More money doesn't fix psychology, it amplifies it. Here's what most people don't realize. Wealthy individuals aren't obsessed with money, they're obsessed with leverage. They think, how many times can this $100 multiply? Instead of, what can this $100 buy? That shift alone predicts your trajectory. I want you to try something. Before your next $100 plus non-essential purchase, ask, if I invested this instead, what could it become in 20 years? At 10% annually, $100 becomes about $673 in 20 years. Now imagine that question asked 500 times over your lifetime. That's the difference between broke and financially independent. Here's how to use this immediately. Step 1. Set the $100 pause rule. Any non-essential purchase over $100 leads to a 48-hour wait. No exceptions. Step 2. Automate $100 weekly. Set up an automatic $100 investment every week. Treat it like rent, non-negotiable. Step 3. Track $100 leaks. For 30 days, track every $100 plus expense. You will be shocked. Step 4. Replace, don't remove. If you cut $100 spending, redirect it instantly to investing. Otherwise, it disappears. The $100 rule predicts your ability to delay gratification your emotional control, your financial identity, your future net worth. Because wealth isn't built in $1 million decisions, it's built in $100 discipline. Look, most people want financial freedom. Few want financial responsibility. The $100 rule forces responsibility at a scale small enough to practice, but big enough to matter. If you can master $100, you can master $1,000. If you can't master $100, $100,000 won't save you. And that might be uncomfortable to hear. But it's true. Your financial future is not decided by your salary. It's decided by your standards, what you tolerate, what you justify, what you repeat. The next time you think, it's only $100, remember, that sentence might be predicting your entire financial life. And here's the good news. You can change that prediction today. If this helped you rethink money in a new way, hit the like button so more people see it. Subscribe if you want to actually build wealth instead of just talking about it. And comment below. What's one $100 habit you're changing this week? I'll see you in the next one.